Hello everybody, welcome to this session on GST. Today we will learn about the role of GSTN and GSPs in GST. First, let us learn about GSTN. GSTN stands for Goods and Services Tax Network. It is a not-for-profit organization which will build the technology infrastructure for GST for the activities of registration, return filing, payment of tax, etc. The millions of returns to be filed by all the dealers in India will be stored in this portal. Let us see the functions of GSTN. GSTN will facilitate registration of dealers under GST and related services, including new enrollments and transition of existing taxpayers. GSTN will store the e-ledgers of all taxpayers, that is, the electronic cash ledger, electronic tax liability ledger, and electronic credit ledger. The electronic cash ledger is the ledger where all payments by a taxpayer on account of tax, interest, etc. will be credited. All amounts payable by the taxpayer shall be debited to the electronic tax liability ledger, and input tax credit will be credited to the electronic credit ledger. GSTN will match the invoice-wise details furnished by each taxpayer and the corresponding recipients, and on this basis, input tax credit claim of the recipient will be accepted or reversed. GSTN will match each taxpayer's tax payment details with the respective banking networks. GSTN will generate challan for tax payment by taxpayers. GSTN will also provide MIS reports to the central and state governments based on taxpayers' return information stored in GSTN. Let us now learn about GSPs. GSP stands for GST Suvidha Provider. They are third-party applications which will have the sole authority to directly interact with GSTN. On account of the huge data of all indirect tax payers of the country, this also being highly sensitive and private information, GSPs are carefully selected. There are 34 third-party applications that have been selected to become GSPs. Let us now see the functions that a GSP will perform. GSPs will assist taxpayers to upload Form GSTR1 containing details of outward supplies in a month based on their sales registers, and Form GSTR2 which shows the details of inward supplies in a month based on their purchase registers. GSPs will assist taxpayers to download Form GSTR2A which shows the auto-populated details of inward supplies in a month based on Form GSTR1 filed by suppliers of the taxpayer. GSPs will also display Form GSTR1A which gives the details of any additions or modifications in outward supplies made by the taxpayer's recipients. Upon receiving Form GSTR2A and Form GSTR1A, GSPs will assist taxpayers to reconcile their purchase register with Form GSTR2A and sales register with Form GSTR1A to identify any discrepancies. On the basis of their final details of outward supplies and inward supplies in a month, GSPs will assist taxpayers to file Form GSTR 3, which is the final return for the month. Let us now see the process of interaction between a taxpayer, a GSP, and GST server. A taxpayer has to fulfill certain statutory requirements under GST, such as registration, invoice uploading, return filing, challan generation, etc. To assist taxpayers with these activities, GSPs will provide various innovative and convenient user interfaces such as a web portal, mobile app, accounting package, ERP, custom apps, etc. Through these user interfaces, GSPs will assist taxpayers in uploading the required details such as Form GSTR 1, Form GSTR 2, return filing, etc. These details will be uploaded to the GST server by the GSPs via the GSP GST server. Similarly, data such as Form GSTR 2A and Form GSTR 1A will be generated in GST server and made available to taxpayers by the GSPs through their various user interfaces. As you can see, GSTN and GSPs will be the backbone of GST implementation in the country. They will provide the technology infrastructure for implementation and functioning of GST. To learn more on GST, you can visit our blog blogs.tallysolutions.com. You can also download our app Tally for GST from the Play Store. Thank you.